All right, there's an interim stay on Kerala Story 2. That's the big update coming in. High Court has put a stay on Kerala Story 2 movie that was set to release this Friday. It's caused quite a flutter with the left government and several, in fact, politicians across the aisle in Kerala saying that the movie is an incorrect description of what the Kerala society is all about. Even as the Kerala Story 2 producers have all along said it's based on true events. The latest update there is that the High Court has put a stay on the matter and directed the censor board to consider the petitioner's representation and decide the matter in the next 2 weeks, and has granted an interim stay on the film. Courts have said that the CBFC has not applied its mind, and this is a huge blow as far as the movie is concerned. Some of the oral observations that have come in, and then we're going to connect with my colleague who's tracking this story inside the court for us. Some of the oral observations that have come in is that the film should not be released until all arguments have concluded. As I said, this is a movie that has caused quite a bit of flutter, huge controversy, political controversies as well, where political parties across the aisle have been saying this is nothing but sensationalism and only shows one aspect as far as Kerala society is concerned. Let's get in Ashwin, my colleague who's been tracking this story closely for us. Ashwin, now it's of course a huge blow as far as the movie is concerned, the makers are concerned. Walk us through some of the important observations that were made by the court.
Well, the court has lambasted not just the filmmaker but also the CBFC. In fact, it's a huge blow to the centre because the court has essentially stated that the CBFC seems to have not applied its mind. Now, yesterday, if you remember, where the court was asking when it came to this movie called as Hal, where an RSS worker was seen to be eating beef, this was asked to be cut by the CBFC. And the court had even observed that why is that not that benchmark not being applied to this, to which the CBFC has stated it is a trailer, it is beyond their ambit. Now, that is the first observation. Secondly, one of the biggest observations that in fact the court has said was prima facie the anxieties that has been represented by the petitioner is very much valid, which is again stating that what the petitioner has stated, that the movie has not been checked well by the CBFC, and number two, it has been a violation of the Cinematograph Act, and not just that, the movie is trying to stigmatize a particular region in the country. In fact, when the CBFC senior council member Sri Kumar did represent, he said that there are many errors in the petition. However, the court has dismissed this and even went to the extent stating that whether the writ petition should be admitted or not, that is the ambit and the decision of the court itself. So certainly a big blow to the filmmaker. A 2 weeks interim order has been given, a stay has been given. Now what will happen is that all the arguments will be put out. It is going to be a huge judicial fight that we are going to witness in the coming days. The court will definitely hear the matter again, will hear all the sides, will go deep into it. Therefore, this is going to become one of the biggest judicial decisions that is going to be happening when similar kind of movies which are documentary, which are claims to be documentary, but at the same time which also states that these are based on some real incidences. So certainly a big blow at the moment, a big blow for the centre, and at the same time it is also a blow for the filmmakers as well, because the release of the movie was tomorrow. That has been kept on hold for the next 2 weeks.
Extremely important update coming in with regard to Kerala Story 2, where the High Court has now stayed the release of the movie for 2 weeks. It's a big blow for the filmmakers who've all along been saying that the film essentially depicts real life instances that have taken place, and those have been documented. Even as the critics have said, this is nothing but massive exaggeration, and also leading to what could end up leading to social tensions and unrest. Now, Ashwin, in terms of the movie itself, you know, the fact that its release has been stayed 1 day prior to the slated release. It was supposed to release tomorrow, and today the High Court has come out with this big blow. Any word coming in from what the filmmakers are saying about this court verdict that has come in right now?
Well, we have yet to get an update from the filmmaker, but certainly what the filmmaker and the counsel of the filmmaker was stating that They have invested in the movie so much, and there is many producers, many distributors, both in India and international, who are all waiting this to be done, and their job is at stake, and if a delay would cause them economic loss. And that is what the statement was. In fact, today there was a request that was made by the filmmakers themselves, stating that they would like to hear the matter in the first half of the court proceedings, and therefore if there is any problem that will happen, they would have to look at, adjudicate and look at an appellate or an alternative method to go ahead. But the court stood firm and went on to even say that no, 2 p.m. is the time that has been dedicated, and that they will only hear the matter at 2 p.m. So certainly all throughout the time we have seen the court taking a very critical stance towards the filmmaker. At the same time, the court even went on to request the filmmakers that they should show the movie to which the filmmakers had stated that they do not want to show the movie to the single judge bench. In fact, they said they would like to argue the case. So perhaps when you look at it, when we observe the stance that has been taken, which did not allow a single judge bench to rather see the movie and decide it himself, the Filmmakers Council decided that no, we would like to argue further. And inherently, that is what the judge has given them. The judge wants them to argue.
Ashwin, stay with us. I want to now get in Advocate Maitri, who is the petitioner in this case. She joins us on the broadcast. Your first reaction to the interim stay that has been now put in on the movie's release for 2 weeks by the court?
It's a symbolic victory of Keralites. We don't know whether the appeal will be considered in a fair manner or how it will be considered by the central government, because the verdict is to consider our representation, and until then or until 15 days is the stay, that is the order. So that's the judgment. So we don't know how it will be considered and what will happen to the representation. But as of now, the learned single judge actually observed that, the producer evaded the request of the court to watch the movie, and then the teaser and trailer did have contents which were against the statutory guidelines of the CBFC. So it is definitely a symbolic victory of the petitioner and similar persons and all of the Keralites. So we are looking forward for others. Of course, there will be remedies that the producers will be going for writ appeal or revision. That's very evident. Let us see what happens.
Indeed, let's see what happens as to how it turns out in courts. But Maitri, in terms of the movie, the essential premise is that this is something that maligns the image of Kerala. It maligns the image of Keralites, and that has essentially been your argument. The court has right now granted an interim stay in terms of the release. But I want to understand from you the top two or the main arguments that you've put forth in front of the judge.
One of the main objections by the respondent that it's public interpretation should have been filed, and it's not the dignity of community that you can speak for individual. But what we argued is that definitely the image definitely the reputation of a state is also integral part of a personal individuality, which is protected under Article 21, right to life and liberty, right? So that's one of the main arguments that happened yesterday. And also the writ petition itself argued that the content and the trailer teaser sort of gives the impression that this kind of radicalization started off in Kerala and spread across entire country, which is not true, because in the very first movie also, the movie makers did submit that the narratives they are not claiming any kind of accuracy of all the narratives that is being shown in the movie. That was the submission before the Supreme Court by the movie makers in the first part, and then the same kind of the narratives are being again shown in the second part. That too, and also very important thing that they themselves, the movie makers themselves, said in many events and also in the court, it is a story across country, and then you cannot actually tie it only to the Kerala. You cannot attribute solely to Kerala. That was the argument, and at the interim stage, that argument has been accepted by the single judge, and now the release is being given for 15 days. Let us see.
All right, Maitri Hegre, who's the petitioner in the Kerala Story 2 case, speaks to us, telling essentially the two main arguments of the petitioner seeking a stay on the release. Rahul Ishwar, who's a prominent activist, joins us as well for his take on how he sees the movie, the fact that it's now wading in legal waters right now. There's a 2-week stay that has been given. Rahul Ishwar, your first reaction to the fact that right now the court has granted an interim stay. Of course, we will know what happens next only after this 2-week period expires. But your first reaction to the fact that the movie will not release tomorrow?
There needs to be a balance between sensitivity and creativity, liberty and responsibility. That's the reason why we have pointed out that far and few, some of the incidents have happened, but at the same point of time, exaggerating, creating a narrative, demonizing an entire state, demonizing our Muslim brothers and sisters is not right. That's the reason why you have to strike a balance. Even Kerala Story 1 was like this. It really happened to 3 girls. There is no denying the fact. But 32,000, it was astronomically exaggerated. So court has found a sensitive balance where both creativity is respected but sensitivity is preserved, where liberty is respected but responsibility is also upheld. That's the reason why let there be a process of law. I understand both the sides. Being a Hindu right-wing activist, I understand both the sides, but we have to strike a balance somewhere where you cannot demonize a community and a state as such, but at the same point of time, we need to strike a balance. I hope courts will strike a balance just like they have done in the case of Kerala Story 1.
You know, while the filmmakers have all along maintained that, look, this is based on real instances and this is not a Kerala-centric story, but this is actually pan-India. Your response to the arguments that have been made by the Filmmakers Council in courts?
Kerala Story 1 director Sudipto Sen went on record to say that you cannot make movies based on WhatsApp forwards in reference to Kerala Story 2. There has been some allegation. For example, in Madhya Pradesh, there has been an allegation of beef eating, but that has not been proved or anything factor stated in court. Kerala Story 1, 3 girls, especially Nimisha, Fatima, Sonia, Sebastian, Mariam, they are missing from Kerala. They are not in India. They have went to join ISIS, is a matter of fact, or any other extremist organization can be a matter of fact because they are not in India. But 32,000 was the exaggeration was the problem. Here, forcefully beef eating, a Muslim mother and a Muslim son conspiring to trap Hindu girls. See, these are not good. I'm a Hindu activist, but we should be respecting the sentiments of all communities. If somebody had told me about our Hindu community girls or Hindu community women, I would have definitely gone to the court. Similarly, one more important point, 2 petitioners in this case who went against this movie are one a Hindu, second a Christian. See, that's the reason why Kerala is number 1 in communal harmony. But there are some instances, far and few, some bad instances that happen. We can definitely address that. But exaggerating it beyond an extent in the name of creative freedom is not right. That's the reason why some of the scenes needs to be toned down, some needs to be cut. Direct demonization of a community shouldn't be there. We are living in a pluralistic society, so we need to be mindful of the sensitivities of every community. I hope court will definitely find that balance in a very sensitive way.
As far as the filmmakers are concerned, in fact, just going by some of the numbers that they had shared publicly is that this movie was set to release in 1,800 theatres worldwide, and that, of course, now has been stayed. Ashwin, any more details that you could share with us right now?
The stay has definitely happened. It comes from a time when the petitioners themselves are not from the particular community that has been, in fact, stated as stated by Rahul Ishwar. In fact, the council representing the petitioner herself is a vegan. So certainly, this is this again pronounces what Kerala society is, and certainly it's a matter of fact that they have had their victory here, and it needs to be seen what whether an alternative legal route will be taken, whether an appeal will be done in a higher court, whether there will be a division bench for appeal which will be done, stating because there's also economic impact for the filmmaker. They had planned everything like 1,800 screens. It was planned, and certainly the economic impact would be huge for the filmmaker to be halting a release of this film, which was already slated. So, but this all boils down to essentially that moment when the council members stated they do not want the judge to see the movie, and that is where
In fact,
everything.
Ashwin, I'm going to come back to you, but I want to play out that soundbite of Sudipto Sen, the director of Kerala Story 1, who's not part of the sequel because he feels not enough adequate research was done to back some of those claims.
कमेंट नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन CBFC इज द राइट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी टू टेक द डिसीजन. मुझे लगता है उन्हीं की डिसीजन को अवॉइड बाई करने की जाना चाहिए, लेकिन कोर्ट की ऑर्डर देखने के बाद मैं उसके बारे में बात कर सकता हूँ. थैंक यू. मैंने कोर्ट का ऑर्डर नहीं देखा, सुना भी नहीं, आपसे ही पहले बार सुन रहा हूं, इसलिए मुझे इसके बारे में मैं कुछ कमेंट नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन CBFC इज द राइट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी टू टेक द डिसीजन. मुझे लगता है उन्हीं की डिसीजन को अवॉइड बाई करने की जाना चाहिए, लेकिन कोर्ट की ऑर्डर देखने के बाद मैं उसके बारे में बात कर सकता हूं. थैंक यू.